Hey you, welcome to Martin's Movie Review, and as always, my name is GK here to give you the very best of Nollywood movie reviews. So let's look at The Black Book.
I sinned terribly in my past. God took away my son to punish me. I accept.
You're the father of a dangerous criminal.
But accusing my son of what he is not, that I cannot accept.
The Black Book is directed by Edith Effiong and it's also produced by Edith Effiong and Anako Films. It runs for about 2 hours, 4 minutes, and it was shot in Nigeria, that's Kaduna and Lagos State. The Black Book is all about a man whose faith in his new belief is tested by his past. But he failed. Okay, so that's not the point. Okay, it's all about a man named Paul Idima who has to take vengeance into his own hands to take out corrupt politicians that he himself was part of building this corrupt system. Without wasting any of the time, let's go right into the performance of actors in this particular movie. Okay, despite it was Edith Effiong's first time of directing, it was an excellent movie. I can say it was a great movie. RMD taking up the role of Paul Idima was a great fit, I can say. Even though Paul Idima Jr. and Paul Idima Sr., there was a little bit of lack, or can I say difference in the resemblance, but the performance was actually great. At some point I read that RMD was feeling a bit skeptical of taking up the role of Paul Idima, considering that Edith Effiong was new. Can we say it's his first time of directing, and considering the budget for about $1 million, he was a bit skeptical, but later on he picked up the role and boom, it became a great hit. So it's a great one. RMD picking up this role was a great one. Shefi Bello in the character of Big Daddy, excellent. Pulling in Shefi Bello and RMD together in this particular film, Black Book, from when they were head to head in Shantytown, it's a great one. Shefi Bello really brought in her best, just like what she did in Shantytown. It was excellent. Also, Adebayo as Vic was good. She gave him a stunning performance. I like her makeup, I like her outfit, and I like the performance she gave. Even at the chapel where she cried, when she ran out of the church, it was all good. I can say it was a great performance. The film is just packed with great actors and actresses, right? And every of them did their best, I can say. Not forgetting Sam Dede, right? Sam Dede as Angel is another exceptional role there. Sam Dede and his mean looks, he brought that from Ishakaba. Yeah, but actually he did his great. Anytime I see Sam Dede, or can I say anytime I hear someone called Sam Dede, it always reflects me the memory of Ishakaba. I think I did something in regards to in Brotherhood, and I actually reflected back on how he behaved there in relation to Ishakaba, right? So Sam Dede is actually a great actor, and I think that what he did in this particular movie is exceptional. Even though there is something I noticed that it's about the script, or can I say the storyline, that didn't go well for me, which I'll discuss later. However, Sam Dede is just perfect in what he was presenting. His performance was good. Olumide Oworu was great. He was excellent in this particular film, but let me say something. Olumide Oworu has swapped roles with Deyemi Okanwo. What do I mean by this? Okay, as much as possible, I'm joking. But there is this role I've been seeing Deyemi play in films. From what do they call it? Blood Sisters, right? Where he came in the beginning and he's no longer there, and the whole of the film plays based on what he did in the beginning or what happened to him in the beginning. He came back in Brotherhood, and in the beginning he was there, and the whole of the movie played out based on what happened to him in the beginning, and he was no longer in the whole of the movie. And when I come to Black Book, I see that Olumide Oworu in the character of Damilola Idima actually reflected the same thing Deyemi played in all other films, like in Blood Sisters and in the Brotherhood, right? So it made me feel like Olumide Oworu has swapped roles with Deyemi, because that has always, in my mind, that has always been Deyemi's character. Seriously. The funniest line for me in this particular movie in the character of Olumide Oworu, that's the Damilola Idima, is a line that he says, "Dad, this is 2020. Nobody really believes in God or his son Santa Claus." At some point I sat back and I was like, can I say Damilola, God's son is not Santa Claus. That guy was good in that particular character, and I think that's one of the humorous parts that I liked about the movie. even though they didn't have a lot of that in that particular movie, which basically was a big drift into the sad perspective. But that particular part actually brought out the humor in the movie, and it was a bit fun for me watching that particular part and hearing that particular. Moving on, not forgetting Ireti Doyle, if I pronounce the names right, always getting my attention with her exceptional line passage, right? Even when I saw her in Madame Koi Koi and how she presents her line, it's just always exceptional. And here in the Black Book, Ireti Doyle passed her line perfectly as the commissioner. In her character of the commissioner, she actually passed her line, and I always love the way she presents her line. Seriously, that's one thing I like about her performance, her acting, the way she presents her line and the way she acts on it. She brings out the whole character to life, right? So Ireti Doyle was a great actress in this particular movie. She really did great. Not forgetting Femi Branch. Femi Branch had a good performance in the young General Issa. For Femi Branch and Alex Yusufo, both the General Senior and General Junior, they have that similarities, and that similarities in look, that similarities in performance, and that's one thing that I love about this whole Femi Branch performance in this particular movie, because Femi Branch actually behaved like how Alex Yusufo, that's Alex, the character General Issa, behaved in this particular movie. Guys, not forgetting other characters like Kelechi Udegbe as Officer Babayomi, Funky Malam as Tanko, Patrick Doyle as Senator Diko. Everybody played their part. I can really say that performance with regards to the actors, it was really great, and the cast really did great job in putting these right actors in the right position. With regards to action, in the beginning we can see that it started with gun blazing action, and at the end too we had a lot of gun blazing actions, and so I can say that action was actually, in terms of gun firing and all that, it was actually believable, right? The Black Book showed that ADT Efiong has a passion for giving Nollywood a touch of Hollywood. I can say, as the CEO of Anaco Films, this guy ADT Efiong has been pushing out films that stands the test of time and stands out, right? So Anaco Films has produced great films like one of those that I think I did a review over here is The Setup, right? The Setup is part of the production from this Anaco Films, and we also have Up North, we also have Fishbone, and we have The Day of Destiny, and a bunch of other great movies that is produced by this particular company, right? So the guys are good in what they do, and ADT Efiong is actually having that passion for producing action films that will stand shoulder to shoulder, can I say, with Hollywood movies, right? So it's great, and I can see that Jade Osiberi was drawn into this particular movie at a certain point with regards to script editing, right? So Jade Osiberi edited the script, and I think they brought her in because of the fact that Jade Osiberi is becoming Nigeria, can I say, Nollywood pioneer of action films. Yeah, so Jade Osiberi actually, when you look at movies that Jade Osiberi has produced so far, you will see that Jade Osiberi has that passion and that deep, can I say, mindset for exceptional action movies. Camera movement in this particular movie, there are no special camera movement. It's just still shot and some angles that make sense with a drone shot at some point, like in Kaduna farm. General Issa's farm in Kaduna. There we can see some drone shots that make sense, and in some other points, right? So there's no exception. Can I say there's no special camera movement that really could draw you into the system that you feel like you're in the move, right? There was nothing like that. However, there were good camera angles. There were good camera positioning that really gave a cinematic view, right? So shots were good and lighting was great. Yeah, lighting is one thing I liked about this movie. Lighting was great, and wardrobe, special effects, everything was good. If you look at the bombing in Kaduna Stadium as shown in this particular movie, you'll see that it's a bit believable, right? So the SFX team, I think they really did a great job, and the VFX team too, they did a great job, even though at some point I felt like the VFX were just aiding in those guys instead of gunshots cannot just be always built, can I say, always be supported by VFX, but it should not always be the sole representation of a gunshot. Sometimes the vibration really matters. Yes, at some point they really brought in the vibrations and all of that. You can see their hands shaking and all of that, but at some point you just see that it's just the gunfire coming out. There's no vibration, there's nothing like that, and which does not show the believability of the scene, right? It doesn't bring it out as if there was actually an action happening. And so I think that some of the parts that they weren't any of those vibrations and any of those action that showed that it complement the fire that comes out of the gun that we don't see, I think that it's something that it should be looked at in the action, Nigerian Nollywood system, that we should be looking at most of the times. Because I say that in most of these films, we just try as much as possible to get a VFX artist to put in gunfires without actually complementing it with a bit of shake or vibration from the person shooting the gun, which doesn't really make sense for me, right? So anyways, my opinion though, so let's move on. So my observation about this movie, even though they did exceptionally well with a budget of $1 million, they did exceptionally well. Eddie Effiong's first time directing, and he really did well. However, there are some few things that actually I have to point out with regards to the storyline and even some other things, right? So let me just point out. Paul Idima brutally was beaten at some point, right? And his motionless body was dumped into a river. So the next thing we saw is Paul Idima walked back to the house. I mean, how? This thing is not giving me, calculator is not giving me that kind of an answer, right? So at least you should have shown us how this guy got home, where after his motionless body was dumped into the river, and all of a sudden he just, boom, walked back to the house, not even somebody carrying him back to the house, right? So these are some of the things that I think for us to believe you and for you to have a believable storyline, for you to have a believable action line, or can I say storyline? Yeah, there is that communication that you allow us to see how this person was able to survive that particular word challenge. Yeah, that we should have seen it, but he was dumped into the water motionlessly. His body was not moving, nothing. It was as if he was dead, and all of a sudden, boom, he walked back home. You should tell us how he did that. You should tell us how he was able to survive that. Let's move on. Another observation is the time of the incident of what happened to Paul's son was in the afternoon, right? Why would it be in the night that Paul arrives at the location when the son actually said that the church is just a few walk away from that particular location? I don't get it. And you can see the driver ran to the church, went and called the father, and all of a sudden the scene changes to evening. What calls for the scene to change to evening? So these are some of the things that are, yes, they are too tiny, very tiny, but I think it makes a storyline believable, because if you give us that gap, that jump, it's like you had a bit of challenge and you had to rush, or is either you didn't have all the equipment you needed at that moment to shoot and you have to extend it to evening, all of that. I don't know. What I'm just saying is that why would it be in the evening? Yes, and this one actually said it's just a walk, it's just a few minutes from there. So you were told at the church and you wait till the evening, right? And again, this the sax guys. So let me just, another aspect of the same problem in the same space was that the sax men did what they did, right, in the afternoon, and the sax men are part of the police, and they could not carry the body. And they could not carry what they needed to carry, right? The sax men did what they needed to do, and they allowed the police to wait till in the evening before they could come. And also, Paul Idima had to wait till in the evening, which to me doesn't just add up, right? So it's one of the things that I looked at and I was like, no. If it happened in that afternoon and you say it's just a walk away, at least the driver ran to go and call you from church, you should come in same afternoon, because you cannot just, your son, there's something happening out there with your son and you cannot just wait till in the evening before you come. You understand? That's a normal storyline that need to pass across, that there's a bit of a continuity in this whole thing. But keeping it to come to that evening, it was like a break, and we don't know what happened between, and boom, in the evening before any other thing happened. It doesn't sit well with me. Moving on. So also there's a bit of mix up in the screenwriting, or can I say the story itself, and I realized that Edith Effiong was part of the screenwriting with another person right there, right? And we know that Jade Osiberu actually edited the script, but there's a bit of a mix up. I don't know what really happened. This is because at some point, I'm just looking at it at one point that Angel doesn't know Paul Idima. There's this point that Angel was explaining, and he was with Senator Dikmo and the other guys, the deputy commissioner, and he was saying that he didn't know Paul Idima. So he was saying, if this guy is as dangerous as you say he is, then we need to blah 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 blah. So this shows that he didn't know who Paul Idima is. Then later on, when he meets Paul Idima, he now brings up their own story, right? So he was like, the Polo I know would have wasted all of them here. This means he knows Polo before, and that is actually what the movie was saying, that they were in the same crew before it came to this stage. Then why would he deny, or why would he say that if this person is as dangerous as you say he is? Which means he actually did not know him at first, and later he now knows him. So it's a bit of a mix-up. I think in the storyline, in the script writing or whatever, somebody needed to have pointed this out so that it shouldn't be like he was speaking from the beginning, he didn't know Paul Idima. Later on, all of a sudden, the script turns and the Polo I know would have done this, would have done it. Not only that, he said, after he had a voice from the inside, he said, Polo, you see, they do bushmeat. Yeah, that means he knows these guys, he knows this guy very well. So, my point here is that he has two contradicting statements. First one saying that he didn't know Paul Idima by saying if this person is as dangerous as you say he is. Then the second one, which he brought up clearly, that he knows Paul Idima and they've been together before, and that's why he was able to make statements like Paul, you see they do bushmeat, and he was able to make statements like the Polo I know and all of that, right? So I think it's something that they should have just harmonized it. Let it not be like there's a contradiction of statement, right? A contradiction of lines, right? Or a contradiction in the storyline, right? That is what I think. Some stories written here will make you be thinking as if we are 2-year-old children that they are showing to. Please, sorry, I'm just joking. But seriously, so let me just put it out. So in this movie, I mean, in the entire Black Book movie, it's a story about someone whose black records has been kept. Now, let me put it this way. So, someone wrote a record of my bad deeds, right? That if any person or even the police or the law enforcement gets a hold of it, I'll be jailed for life, right? Or it will damage my image at some point, right? Or it can even kill me. Now, when I retrieved that book from that person, just like General Issa retrieved the book from the young Paul Idima, instead of destroying it, and I put it in a safe. Who does that? I mean, it doesn't make sense. You put it in a safe for what? For somebody to still come and get it and kill you with? I don't get it. So, it doesn't just stand out for me. It should have been something more. Or it should have been, for me, it would have been something like Paul Idima still has that information in his memory and he was able to draft a new one and all of that. Not that General Issa with his sense, you just go and lock up information that will kill him, then you just keep it safe. Are you saving money? It doesn't make sense now. What I'm just saying is that the Black Book is something that Paul Idima created. And when this guy gets hold of it, it's not of any use to him. It's just going to tarnish his image. Why didn't he burn it? That is a story now that I think need to be explored. It's just my opinion, by the way. But if you have any other thing other than this, let me know in the comment section below, okay? So, we've come to the end of this. And what I can say about this Black Book movie is that after 2 years of the Black Book being in the post-production pipeline, like what the producer said, they finally brought out an exceptional movie. Actually, it was an exceptional movie, even though there are a few flaws. We all know that it always happens. Not only Nigeria, not only Hollywood, there is always that part that you always have missed out because movie production is not easy, right? It's a thing that carries a lot of people, and for Black Book, it took them 2 years in the post-production section, and they actually came out with a great, right? With a great result in the first week on Netflix, they were able to hit #1 worldwide. #1 streaming movie worldwide in the first week. I think in their first week, something like that, right? And currently, they are actually streaming at #10 streamed movies in 69 countries in the world. So it's a great movie, actually. It's a great movie, right? And I can say kudos to Edith Efiong for this great directorial debut. I mean, he really did exceptional. I even wasn't thinking, when I read online that it's his first movie, I wasn't actually thinking it to be like this. But just like RMB said, it is exceptional. It is really great, right? For a film that had a budget of $1 billion, I mean, it is worth it. It is worth it. Guys, thank you very much for being with me to this particular end. And as always, my name is GK. See you in my next movie review. Salute.